Hey, Denise, how you doing?
Hey, Randy, how are you? It's great to be with you.
Excellent. Thanks for joining us today. Everybody, this is Denise Millard, Chief Partner Officer at Dell Technologies. This is episode number 196 of Tech Sales Insights. She'll be obviously a great guest and a great title topic called Channel Selling Best Practices. For those that are a part of sales community, thanks. For those that are not, Tucker will throw up a free link that you can use. And Denise and several others are on our advisory board, so thank you for that, Denise. And we're sponsored by Titan X. It may sound goofy, but typically as people are doing more and more cold calling these days, getting back to old school, the typical pickup rate for cold calling is like 3 to 5%. Once it goes through their swizzle, it's more like 20 to 25%. And by chance, we've done some great pilots with Dell as well. And by way of introduction, Denise and her family live in Massachusetts. You're a lifetime Massachusetts person, correct?
I am. Yep.
I was going to say
Born
something.
and raised. Yeah, funny story. So, born and raised in Hopkinton. Never thought that I would end up back here, but we live here, and of course, that's where EMC was headquartered. So it made it convenient. So never left.
Perfect. And Boston sports fan through and through?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
There you go. And we've known of each other and I think crossed paths a little bit over the years, but I think we actually had our first real face-to-face at Ken Doherty's birthday party a few years ago.
That's right.
And,
yeah.
by way of reputation, you'll hear from the intro comments, but just the consummate professional, a big fan and supporter of the channel, highly regarded in Dell, who has a lot of kind of hardcore executives and I'll say egos and other things, but she's just done a fantastic job navigating Dell and the tech industry in her career, and look forward to hearing lots of those nuggets from you right now.
Awesome. So, 27 years, Randy, actually, the other day. Wow. Between Dell and EMC. So you're right. Long time.
Awesome. So to help with some of the intro comments, I got some great ones from some mutual friends. So from WWT, Joe Koenig and Matt Horner. Denise is a standout leader known for her exceptional ability to build and nurture strong partnerships. She combines strategic vision with a collaborative spirit, making her a trusted and respected figure in the technology industry. Greg Ambulos, who runs channels, was it North America or the Americas? Yeah. Denise is the ultimate professional, incredible leader, very bright, determined, and confident. We've worked together for many years, and I've learned so much from her and feel so fortunate to be her friend. Chris Riley, who you worked with, now CRO at Xerox, says that Denise is one of the most impressive executives in the industry today. She understands the go-to-market dynamics of our industry from the lens of somebody who had to drive enormous change over more than a decade plus. The shift from direct to channel, organizational design, compensation to drive behavior, and her overall ability to execute through change is incredible. Most impressive is who she is, great character and integrity and very loyal, a great wife, a great mother, and I'm proud to call her a friend. I wouldn't be where I am in my career today if it wasn't for some of the advice that Denise has given me along the way. Pretty impressive. Sean Kearns, who's CEO at Arrow. Denise is one of the most thoughtful channel leaders I've ever seen. She's a very credible figure in the eyes of Dell's indirect ecosystem. Peter Trezino, executive leader at Dell, says, I've had the privilege of being both a peer and friend to Denise for over 20 years. She's one of the hardest working individuals I know, whether navigating domestic or international travel. She's always available when needed. Beyond her remarkable work ethic, she's someone I trust implicitly, both personally and professionally. Her continued CRN recognition as one of the top channel leaders in the industry is a testament to her dedication to our Dell customers and partner. She is without doubt a world-class leader. So you can print those out and put them on your refrigerator.
Yeah, exactly. You're making me feel great today, Randy. Great kickoff.
All right, that's what it's all about. So jumping into the questions here. So you were undergrad at Bryant University, and then your first job was at NCR?
That's right. Actually, I started at NCR during college, and they had a great training program. I joined the banking division right out of college, and then a couple of years later ended up over at EMC, and then EMC was acquired by Dell, and it's been a great journey.
Awesome. And maybe briefly tell us about your impressive career from there.
Yeah, sure. So and I'll make this quick, but partners and ecosystem has kind of been part of almost all of my roles across those organizations and supporting the sales team. So, whether that was sitting in, the GBO organization, operations, whether it was inside sales, went from inside sales to services, went from services to channels. Actually, I worked for Greg Ambulus. You just mentioned him a minute ago. So feeling is mutual. And then went from that to lead a lot of the go-to-market changes that happened at EMC. And you referenced a couple of them. That's where Chris Riley and I had the opportunity to work, extremely close together, whether that was kind of building out, our commercial organization and our partner strategy, whether that was building out our and expanding our global account structure, whether that was managing and building out our inside sales teams. I had a hand in helping to navigate a lot of those changes as we were evolving as a business. And then as Dell and EMC came together, I had the opportunity to sit on the integration team leading the go-to-market. And then, that kind of evolved during COVID into leading our strategic alliances. And then I took the expanded role of the entire ecosystem about, 18 months ago. So that's a little bit about my background.
Awesome. And for those that don't know what a chief partner officer is, tell us more about your role.
Yeah, sure. So our role is to, build, recruit, retain, a broad set of partner capabilities from, advisory partners, integrators, cloud providers through, our channel partners and distribution, so that they can build capabilities around Dell and expand and scale our routes to market and access to customers, right? Simply put.
Awesome. Really good. A lot of easier said than done, but certainly very, very
Exactly.
Very impressive. All right. So moving on to our title topic, channel selling best practices. And by the way, anybody that's listening or watching along, feel free to chime in with any questions or comments for Denise. We've got Tucker behind the scenes as always, so thanks for your help there, Tucker. So channel selling best practices, if you had to pick kind of one top best practice, I know there's a lot, which we'll touch on some today. Is there one that stands out to you?
Yeah, what I see when we have success with a partnership is it's kind of simple, right? We pick 2 or 3 things, we commit to it, we align sponsorship, and then we hold each other accountable. It's kind of going back to basics. I know you talk about that often, but if you have the nice meeting, everybody mutually agrees, strategies are aligned, but you don't get the results, it's typically because you don't have accountability. And accountability says, I'm going to sit across the table from you, and we're going to commit mutually to going to drive success. And then we're going to hold our teams accountable on both sides. And when we do that, we typically see great results. And so I think it just comes down to, keeping a simple plan, holding teams accountable, and then rinse and repeat, right?
Yeah. And a lot of times I'd say a lot of times I'll call it the end user sales teams are the ones that get the credit for the deals and the wins and all that. But I'd say kind of the unsung heroes are really those partner business managers, along with the kind of pre-sales support team that's really working with those channel partners to do that execution.
Yeah, they're building the plan, they're understanding how Dell can help enhance their go-to-market and the offers that they're going to take to their customers. They're the ones that are doing the enablement. They're making sure they're educated on the value of what we can do jointly in the market. And you're right. they do a lot of the hard work that enables, those teams to go sell in the market together.
Yeah, for sure. So what's your message to your partners for 2025?
So we just kicked off our new year a couple of weeks ago. Our message is all about growth. There's a pretty compelling event happening in the market, whether you think about what's happening across, workplace. We just talked about this, hybrid or back to the office, or as we like to say, back to our customer and our partner offices. But that's creating a compelling event because, we have, massive technology refresh on the client side. We're seeing customers rethink their data center and their data center footprint. So massive consolidation and opportunity to refresh on the infrastructure side. And then, of course, what's happening with AI and edge. Every partner is thinking about the role that they're going to play there, and it represents just a massive opportunity. So we're really excited about 2025, FY26 for us. And then, we've kind of made some significant investments in terms of our program and what that's going to mean for our partners. So we're thinking it's going to be a year of growth for sure.
Excellent. And at some companies, the end user sales teams, I would say, necessarily reject the channel, but they may not be as channel friendly, which is always mind-boggling to me.
Yeah.
How do you keep the Dell end user sales team so partner friendly?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think there's a couple of things. One, I think it starts top down. And that is that our sales leaders are really committed to building trusted partnerships. They realize that in order for them to scale their businesses, in order for them to access new customers, they need the reach and the scale of the partner community. So to me, it starts, at the top around, what are we signaling to our teams in terms of the relevance, and all those areas I just talked about, whether it's, AI or whether it's cloud, that's an ecosystem play. So we absolutely need the skill sets of our partners to go win in those areas. So I think it starts at the top. I also think it's about setting clear expectations. I mean, we want to grow and we want to win in the market. We want to grow faster than the market. And, we do things from a compensation perspective to make sure our sellers are incented to work with a partner. So whether that is neutralizing compensation regardless of route to market, or whether that's giving, added incentives for, particular segments in the market. There's a number of things that we do to get our sellers, excited about working with partners. Compensation drives that. But I think even more important than compensation, winning drives that. So, when you have success, that, the saying that success breeds success, people get excited around seeing the opportunity and then seeing how can we repeat that. And when you have a partner in the mix to help support that, and we have trusted local relationships, they get excited about, what they can do together. And so we're seeing that, really all over the place.
Absolutely. Compensation drives behavior for sure.
Yep.
Over the years, when I was at the big tech companies and big jobs, you'd always have you'd be in the car with the sales reps and they say, okay, hey, this is my ask for Randy, and they'd say, okay, you really could use, long story short, they really need more pre-sales resources. You do. Okay. What do you want? Well, if I could have one, that'd be great. Like, okay, how about 10 or 50 or 100? Well, that's, impossible. No, it's not. It's the channel, right? You have unlimited resources to help you, but just for some reason, people's reps' minds aren't necessarily wired like that. But for those that can figure it out, usually the most successful sellers out there.
Yeah, and we just had a recording that we did internally talking about the success that we're seeing. Kind of, you asked, what's the one thing that you see work with partners, but internally we need to do that as well, right? Like, what is the repeatable activity that, we want our teams to go do with, and build that extension with and through our partners. And so we talk about the concept of the virtual DM, which is, essentially building out your team and understanding and building trust and building that cadence and repeatability so that they are built into the sales cycle from the very beginning. And, I think that is, kind of like the secret sauce of, what makes an individual rep successful. It's understanding who's on the field. It's, to your sports analogy earlier, it's about understanding the capabilities that they bring to the table. It's about open and honest dialogue around, how do we create a win-win, and then, repeating that process. And that's where we see, tremendous growth. But to your point, none of us, I mean, if you asked anybody, your level, my level, talk to an individual rep, what's our number one? Well, we probably have two challenges. One is not enough hours in the day to get everything done, and two, that we don't have enough resources to go lean on. And that's where the channel comes in, right? Because they're building out technical expertise, they're building out solutions and outcomes that they're taking to customers, and they're building that on Dell. And where we have trusted relationships, we're seeing those reps and those organizations, win and grow more.
Absolutely. All right, let's get to some of the questions here. So from Mark Foley, curious as to what you consider your top 2 or 3 sales challenges working with your channel partners.
I think the top 2 or 3 challenges is the inverse of what I just said, right? It's a rep who makes a decision not to engage early. An individual who doesn't have open and trusted relationships with their partners at a local level. It's, an individual not understanding how to manage their ecosystem and how to make sure that they understand the ecosystem inside their customers. Because, on average, you have somewhere between 4 and 7 partners who have a seat at the table at any given time on an opportunity, right? And you need them all rowing in the boat with you. And that's where, we need, a sales rep and sales leaders to inspect and double click on that with their teams. But I'd say those are the biggest challenges, just the inverse. It's that they're not getting leverage. It's that they don't understand and build the local relationships. And they think that, they don't need the channel, right? So a big part of that is how do we, and it is not a one and done. It need to continue to enable, and we have to continue to educate. And, that's obviously the role of our channel teams.
Absolutely. All right. And from Ken Growy, this one.
Blast from the past, Kenny.
There you go. It could be a little sticky, so your call, Howard, if you want to answer. Which direct to partner go-to-market change was tougher, EMC or Dell EMC?
I think, I'm not going to answer that one directly. I think that it doesn't matter. Every organization is trying to grow and take share. And that education of the evolution of the ecosystem is going to require constant education. Kenny, you were part of EMC with us. I mean, that we had a top-down support that I mentioned before, and that makes it, easy to get things done. At Dell, it is an omni-channel, and we do more than 50% of our, over the last 4 quarters of our net revenue was through a partner. And so it's a massive amount of revenue. So it's equally important. We just launched our strategy for the year and talked a lot about the role of the ecosystem. But, it's never easy. At the end of the day, we have a large selling organization, and it takes a lot of work to get everybody kind of rowing in the same boat.
Yeah, and I could kind of turn around on Ken and say, Ken, I can remember, yeah, way back when you might have been one of the harder ones to shift around to the.
I was trying to be nice, but
How's
that's
that?
true. That's true. Yeah.
How's
Well,
before you?
I think he would say that he ran all the CSPs, so he
Yeah,
helped
I'm
me that
talking
way.
the early. I'm talking the early days,
Yeah.
80s, early 90s. Anyway, and
Yeah.
then from Rob, nice comment. The most successful sellers build a tribe, both internal and external. People buy from people, and people
Mm-hmm.
also sell with people.
Yep. Couldn't agree more.
Absolutely. So with having so many partners, it's got to be tough for end users to navigate kind of who to use because you got so many different offerings and geographies and everything else, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think, as much as we do things at the global level, it all happens at the local level. And if you're a rep, in your customers, and this is what I was saying before, you have to look at the landscape in your customers, whether it's a small business, medium business, large enterprise, and who's the influencers, and that allows you to navigate, like, who do I need to go focus, who do I need to call on in my partner community, right? Because that that is an ask. It's like it's not just just expect that partners want to partner back. We have to earn trust, and trust comes from spending time with people and doing that consistently in those customers. And you see it. You see the accounts where we have a trust with a partner, and we tend to grow and kind of land and expand. And then when you're in a competitive situation where you don't have the trust of the partner, and that customer is buying through one of those trusted advisors, and you need to go earn that with the partner. So, I think that's a big part of it. You got to treat your partner like your customer.
Yeah. So true for sure. So I've got a weekly post we mentioned before a little bit called "I Might Be Old School, But," and I know you're passionate about mastering the basics. Tell us more.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know about you, but to prepare for any sales call or any partner meeting, I'm just thinking about yesterday. I mean, you got to put the time in, and there's so much coming at all of us all the time that you need to be a self-starter, self-learner, and I think just setting that expectation with your teams is incredibly important. I mean, this is technology is dynamic. What the role that Dell is playing is dynamic, and the expectation is we all stay on top of that. So I don't know if I'd call it back to basics, but I just call it back to I think I learned early on, always be prepared, right? Every day is an interview, however you want to tee it up, but people are always looking at you, and nobody wants, and everybody's so busy, they don't want to be in meetings for the sake of being in a meeting. And so you have to bring value. The way you're going to bring value is being educated, bringing best practices, bringing examples of how we can win and partner together, so that we can go and grow and scale. But expectation is we all you never stop learning, really.
Absolutely, the meeting prep so important for sure. So
It is.
another one from Rob. How has the explosion of marketplaces changed the landscape for OEMs and partner relationships?
Yeah, I mean, if you think about the opportunity marketplace represents, I mean, the public cloud providers are giving access to, thousands and thousands of customers. And when we hear from our partner community, and I think this has been work in progress, like there was always a direct customer to marketplace relationship that worked really well. In order to extend the role of marketplace, a lot of our partners are hosting their services. They're selling their IP and their capabilities through marketplace, and that creates a stickiness for them. It gives them the ability to interact with customers they couldn't get access to before. So, I think marketplace has an important role. I also think that customers don't want to buy from 1,000 marketplaces. They don't want every partner to create their own marketplace. So, I'll use Dell as an example. We put our software in marketplace. Customers can buy our software enabled, block, file, and backup services through marketplace. And I think it enables choice for customers, right? And I think it's a good expansion opportunity as multi-cloud becomes more prevalent, as customers are rethinking those strategies. Having the ability to leverage and buy services through marketplace gives them one, the option to draw down on their committed spend, but two, deliver their outcomes in a different way. And I think that ecosystem will become increasingly important in the future. So I think it represents an opportunity for growth. It represents an opportunity for access to customers. And then, ultimately what the customer wants is they want all these ecosystems to work together. They don't, right? So they want fewer, more strategic partnerships, and they expect that those partners in the ecosystem are going to work together to deliver an outcome. And marketplace helps enable a portion of that.
There you go. And then what about, is AI being used much in the channel these days? Certainly selling offerings for AI is very, very prevalent, but what about actually being used by channel partners?
Yeah, I mean, I think we could break it down into a couple areas. One, how is Dell using AI to enable partners? So if you can imagine, we would be using data insights and AI to drive, demand generation opportunities, leads, tech refresh, best next action capabilities where, we're giving insights to partners so that they can mine their own customer base, right? So I think that we're at the early stages there in general in the market, and we've been doing those types of things for years, but now we have an opportunity, I think, to take it to the next level. So that's kind of how does Dell or really any OEM interact with this partner community to use AI as a tool for enablement. I think there's a great opportunity. In terms of what we're seeing across our partner base, I'd say one, if you look at the partners who are integrators, advisories, or solution providers, they are starting to figure out and embed AI in their processes and tools because they have the same challenges that we talked about earlier. They don't have enough resources and skills. So we're seeing it in terms of proposal generation. Like if you're responding to a lot of RFPs, building automation into RFP responses is a great way to do that quickly and more efficiently to give a better outcome to the customer or to the response. We are seeing many of our partners embed AI in their own tools. So giving their reps either access to content, being an aggregator for the number of technology providers that they do business with, and being able to serve that up to their teams, in a better way. So I think there's a big content play that partners are starting to use. And then the third is, I think a lot of partners are trying to figure out their role in delivering AI outcomes. They want to help, the customers shift from POC to, putting full-scale AI solutions in production. They are thinking about whether they buy off the shelf or build their own IP that is going to enable, an AI outcome for a customer. And so, I think we'll see as enterprise adoption happens, hopefully at pace as we are in 2025. I think we'll see that, massively scale quickly. I mean, when some of the conversations we're having with partners a year ago was them thinking about their AI strategy. Now we're seeing them implement their AI strategies and really get the full benefit of that as we go into the new year. But I think last year was a year of learning, candidly, around the use of AI and both internally as well as what they can drive out for their customers.
Yeah, great. Certainly, the future is bright. It'll be very interesting to see what happens. Now, going back from the EMC days and then now Dell, partner advisory board's always been something that's been of huge value and really important.
Yeah, I mean, we have a pretty robust process around partner advisory boards. I'd say we mentioned Greg probably does it best. I think there's kind of two evolutions happening around PABs and maybe what I'll call a council. A PAB is you have a consistent set of people who are giving you guidance and support, and they hopefully they're trusted advisors. They are feel that they can have open communication around giving us feedback in terms of either making the program better, their experience with working with Dell better, whatever the nature of the conversation. So that's incredibly important. And as we went into building our program for the year, I mean, we used a lot of that feedback from PAB to influence, directionally where we take our program. So really important. But the comment I made on the pace of change earlier, we're also finding that we need a subset of partners who maybe they're not a standing board member, but they are advising, or you're getting a cohort, for lack of a better term, together where they are thinking about a specific topic. So, I mean, let's take AI as an example. Not everybody has it figured out. The way that it is an ecosystem play, and maybe they're only focused on a piece of it. So how do you bring like-minded individuals around a specific topic together? So one, they can network and share best practices, and then two, to help give us feedback in terms of the role our partners should be playing. How should we be thinking about it as we take it to market? So I think PABs have a place and a purpose, but there's also value in these councils or standalone sessions with subject matter experts that you bring in to really get focused on something new that you're trying to do.
Right, and really almost every interaction is an opportunity too, right, to get advice and feedback from any partners about anything, and I'm sure they're not shy about giving feedback.
No, that's the best part, and I would say we take it super serious in terms of the feedback and the themes that we're hearing. We share that across the sales leadership team. It plays into how we think about our program, how we think about our engagement with partners, what do we have to go fix, and that's just a evolving process. So yeah, it's pretty important.
Oh, great. What about any sales pet peeves that you have? Any one or two things?
I'm going to skip that one.
All right, no problem.
Because by default, you know what? I'm going to end up throwing somebody under the bus, and
That's right. Mine is just sloppiness, right? So before you talked about preparation, not being prepared, not having an agenda for sales calls, not doing a proper recap note, follow-up note. Just really ties back to, I guess, the opposite of not doing the basics. But
I think that is a good coaching opportunity all the time. I can think of 2 or 3 meetings that happened over the past week where I make it clear what my expectations are for the most part. I think most people inherently want to be responsive, follow up, et cetera. But yeah, that being not prepared, that's not an option.
Gotcha. All right.
Yeah.
So, kind of all your travel, kind of global and everything else, how do you stay mentally and physically fit?
Yeah, exercise is a big part of my life, my family's life. My husband, Scott, so he's huge into working out too. I really try to make it a priority. It's got to be first thing in the morning. When I'm not traveling, I try to go to CrossFit. We have, we also have some things in the basement just to get by, even if it's 15 minutes. To me, it just, it has not just a physical benefit, but it's got the mental aspect too. I don't know about you, but the separation between work and personal is challenging. This is 24/7. And for me, that's just like, a good outlet. The other thing, I have a dog, so I have the last 6 months I've been very focused on trying to get 10,000 steps in a day.
Right.
Yeah, it's easier said than done, but there's, I don't know if Eric Arcese is out there watching, but there's a few of us where we're traveling, we're like, okay, we're going to get up early and get our steps in. So I think holding yourself accountable, holding your team accountable, and then carving out time is really what it comes down to.
There you go. As my
Yep.
dog starts barking in the background. So before you talked about the topic of kind of demand generation, lead generation, do you see cold calling starting to come back?
Well, I would say for us, it never went away. And you work with Jason and the team. I mean, that's always been a core aspect of our inside sales program, as well as the role of our inside sellers. And people want to buy from people they know. They want to buy from people they trust. I think that personal communication, as much as we want to do things online and make it quick, a technology buy is something that's sold, and it's you got to be able to articulate the value proposition. So I think it's incredibly important. I think the interesting part is the creativity that we see across team members to get mind share with somebody on the other side, whether that's in person or Zoom. So I love the creativity. And then I think also just the leveraging your network, right? I mean, it's all about who do you know and who can help me, get in to see that customer. And so, no, I don't think it's for us, it never went away. I think it just became an evolution of how we're doing it.
Yeah. And mentioned Jason, he does them. It's such a good job, great job. Right. And then the notion of him really kind of training and developing really the next generation of stars and sellers. Really such a great job.
Yeah, totally agree.
So anyway, so speaking of which, then kind of developing, assessing talent, figuring out gaps for your team, kind of how do you approach all that?
Yeah, I mean, inside of Dell, we do a pretty good job of putting out or pushing out training and enablement. We have a process that we developed a long time ago called an endorsement process, which is, or you can call it a hot seat, you can call it, whatever you want, but it's, can you articulate the message on the spot? And, a lot of what we do is repetitive. And if you want to get good at it, you need to repeat it and then repeat it again and repeat it again. And so, enabling teams is one, watching them do it and giving them feedback when it either hits the spot or doesn't hit the spot. And then doing things like role play and what we call endorsements is essentially, you and I role playing and a third party, whether it's your manager or peer, basically saying, yeah, did you hit the main points or did you miss a few things where you can improve? But that's a big part of our culture internally in terms of how we enable the teams.
Yeah, that's great. So along your journey, you've had some, I'm sure, amazing mentors. Any kind of one or two in particular to call out and specific advice you've received?
Yeah, sure. I think about mentors in two different ways, right? There's the mentors and peer group, like having, I think somebody put on there, your tribe. having people that you rely on, that you can have a personal relationship with, that they can give you real-time feedback, and they'll be honest with you. It's the trusted feedback that I think is incredibly important to growth, in your career. And then there's that's more of an informal mentor. And then there's the formal mentors who, you're kind of assigned to. You hope that they're going to help you, for career advancement, or, take other roles, or hopefully have an influence on your next evolution in your job. And I think we need both. And depending on where you are in your career, you value one over the other. I think earlier in your career, having formal mentors is more important. And then as you move up in your career, move up doesn't mean take a higher role. It could mean just that you've taken a different role, but the informal mentor becomes even more important, because those are the people who see you in action. They see what you're doing that's either resonating with your team or not resonating with your team. And those to me are the more valued. But I do think, at different stages, you need different types of mentors. So to answer your question, there's definitely a few standouts. I've worked for Bill Scannell for a very long time. Consider him certainly a mentor, a friend, a coach. And that's just the way he leads. So been incredibly fortunate to have that for many years. You mentioned Pete Trezino. All the comments Pete made, I feel equally the same. That informal mentor relationship, I think, is incredibly important. Greg Ambulos, I worked for him, but view him as a mentor, friend, coach. And then Linda Conley, I would say, and I don't know if you've had her on, Randy, but you should. She's had a equally amazing career. She, did a lot for me early in my career, especially as I transitioned from having my kids, and those decisions around how do you manage and juggle, and how do you stay mentally in the workforce, and have a baby and then have a second child, and try to manage everything that comes at us, and having a role model, I think, is so incredibly important. And she was that for me for many years. She still is. And those would be just a few.
Yeah. I made the mistake of asking Linda during the summer when she's kind of focused on the Cape. So I think the winter will be a better season. So thanks for the reminder on that.
Yeah.
And also, you've had some amazing CEOs with Joe Tucci, Michael Dell, who are also very, very pro channel too, right?
Yeah, we've been, incredibly, incredibly fortunate. Yeah, absolutely.
Wow, great. Any advice to your younger self?
Yeah. Let's see. Advice to my younger self. I'm somewhat of a perfectionist, so the afraid to fail mentality definitely sticks in my head. And I think who you work for certainly matters, and them allowing you to learn on the job, empowering you, giving you air cover, when you do well, and when you make mistakes. So I would say, really that saying of, it's okay, not to know everything. It's okay to take some risk and see what the outcome is, because that's the only way we progress. So I would say that for sure. That would be the first one. Second is probably just I think for a long time, and I have this conversation with people that I mentor all the time, like, can I build a career at one company, right? And I think you can. Obviously, I've been here for 27 years. And a big part of that, I think, is equated to my brand. And I think Linda was the one who really instilled in a lot of us that your brand matters. And so that means how you show up for your team. That means how you show up for your partners. It means how you show up for yourself, your family, your kids, your friends. So, just being mindful of building that brand and making sure you kind of stay true to yourself in that process.
Yep. So true. Absolutely, for sure.
Yeah.
So always like to ask for people that know me a bit, any PG Randy story to share?
Yeah, I don't know if it's a story, but more of an observation, Randy, of your success and kind of what you bring to the table. Your network is massive, and it continues to grow. And the way that I think about you is that you're a really strong connector. And because you'll send us emails because hey, did you know so and so? Did you meet so and so? You're always trying to create opportunity for other people. You're trying to help people navigate how to be successful. You're trying to get us together to share stories, share best practices, share ideas. And like that's a skill that I think we all need more of, right? I mean, it goes back to, kind of your whole premise of your business, but being able to connect people is what drives outcomes. It's what, allows us to do what we do every day. It's how do you get everybody rowing in the boat with you? And, I think that connection is incredibly important. So I think about you as a really strong connector. And we've had the opportunity, if you just think about our small world of people and how many connections we have, right? And I think that's obviously a really important skill.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much. You've been an amazing guest. Coming up, we have Courtney, who's at Octus IQ, who does a lot around people performance management development. Ed Murphy, who is CEO of Empower Retirement, Ryan Batty, who's at Salesforce, and lots of other great guests lined up that anybody can see at our site, salescommunity.com. Thanks for Titan X for being sponsored today. And Denise, you've been awesome. Thank you so much. Thanks for your help behind the scenes. And everybody have a great rest of the week. Thanks, Denise.